57-year-old John just lost his house to the bank. When the repossession agent was leaving, he even slapped John in the face. Sounds unbelievable, right? But 13 days ago, this actually happened in a small town in Texas, and John's story made the front page of the New York Times. His story made countless middle-aged men stop and think about one critical question, a question most Americans tend to overlook. 13 days ago, John, having lost his house, sat on a beat-up couch by the street, staring at the Tesla he had just bought this year, unable to figure out where it all went wrong. For over a decade, his annual income had been around $200,000, but the crushing mortgage still drove him into bankruptcy. Was it some damn financial advisor scheming behind the scenes? No. The real culprit was one stupid decision he made back then, a single choice that shoved him straight into the pit of financial ruin. That damn financial formula was way too complicated. Stories like this happen on YouTube every day. About 28% of Americans are in the exact same boat, earning a decent income, but still getting blindsided by hidden rules that turn what should have been a comfortable retirement into a nightmare. John isn't an isolated case. What looks like a high-paying job is often a trap set by capital, waiting to snap shut just as you're about to retire. If you had understood these lessons earlier, you wouldn't have ended up in this dead end. Let me tell you this very clearly. Your salary was never designed to make you rich. Its only purpose is to keep you just comfortable enough to show up again on Monday. The entire structure of paid employment exists to keep you functioning, fed, housed, and dependent. It was never meant to make you free, never. This is the lie you've been fed since your very first job: income equals wealth. It doesn't. Income is simply the price put on your time. Wealth is what keeps growing even when you're not there. The cruelest part is that once most people realize this, they don't escape the broken system, they push harder inside it. They chase raises, negotiate bonuses, stack side hustles. But the real problem has never been, how do I make more money? The question that actually changes the trajectory of a life is, what do I own? Imagine two people. Person A starts saving $500 a month at age 25. Does this for 10 years, then stops completely, never saves another dollar. Person B waits until 35 to start investing the same $500 a month, and keeps going relentlessly for 30 years. By 65, person A ends up with more money. 10 years of contributions beat 30 years, solely because that first money had 30 extra years to compound. Person B put in triple the time with the same habit, and still lost. You cannot budget your way out of low income if you haven't opened a brokerage account yet. And 60% of your paycheck is already being eaten by rent. No amount of frugality hacks will save you. That's why early on, investing in skills matters more than investing in markets. Raise the ceiling first, then take the excess and pour it into index funds. Into REITs that don't require you to fix a toilet at midnight, but still pay you dividends. Into boring stocks like utilities and healthcare. Things that will still exist 20 years from now. Every dollar you understand is on a mission. Every dollar you don't understand is gambling in a professional costume. If you can't explain in one sentence why an asset has value, you're not investing, you're speculating with money you already worked hard for. So where does it all actually fall apart? Not at the planning stage, not even at the earning stage. It collapses in a brutally small window. The moment money hits your account and the moment you act on it. Sometimes that window is just 48 hours. The time between direct deposit and the weekend. Inside that gap, most wealth quietly bleeds to death. No one notices because each cut is small, 20 here, 60 there. Over 10 years, this slow leak destroys more wealth than most bad investments ever will. On the other side of this equation are people who figured out one thing. They remove themselves from the decision entirely. The moment income arrives, it's already been assigned. Not by willpower, not by some guilt-driven budgeting app that you only open when you feel bad, but by a system that moves money automatically, before your brain even registers that it's there. Checking account to brokerage, brokerage to index funds or ETFs, auto buy. No decision points, no moments of weakness. This isn't discipline, it's architecture. And the difference matters because discipline is a resource that depletes, architecture doesn't. Calculate your monthly baseline expenses like rent, utilities, food, insurance, and minimum payments. Add them up. then multiply by 5 or 6. If your essentials cost $2,500 a month, you need roughly $12,000 to $15,000 sitting somewhere liquid and boring. A high-yield savings account paying 4 to 5%, a money market fund. Don't chase excitement. The point is that when life explodes, and it will, you don't have to touch your growth engine. If you do, you replenish it before doing anything else. Treat it as a debt you owe your own survival. Because without it, you're not an investor. You're just one bad month away from starting over. No one wakes up one day and decides to be financially trapped. It happens through a long chain of choices that each feel reasonable. That apartment that made sense because the landlord approved you. That SUV that seemed smart because the salesperson said the monthly payment was manageable. 6 years later, that $40,000 car has cost over $50,000 after interest. And the person behind the wheel still calls it an asset. It isn't, it's just slow, quiet consumption disguised as transportation. When people hear spend less, they imagine punishing themselves. Eating plain rice in a dark room in exchange for wealth. That doesn't work. Extreme restraint doesn't build discipline. It breeds resentment. You hold on for 3 months, then on one terrible Friday, you blow $400 in one go. And by Monday you can't even remember what you bought. Binge spending isn't a character flaw. It's the predictable collapse of a system that was never sustainable. What actually works is boring, mechanical, painfully boring. And that's exactly why it works. Start here, tonight. Open a blank note on your phone. Write down every fixed expense that gets pulled from your account each month. Rent, car, insurance, utilities, subscriptions. Every single one. Add them up. If that number eats more than 60% of your after-tax income, you don't have a savings problem, you have a fixed cost problem. And fixed costs are the only enemy you can negotiate before the month begins. Next rule, 48 hours. Any non-essential purchase over $100 waits 2 full days. Not because waiting is virtuous, but because most impulse emotions evaporate within 48 hours. That jacket you had to buy on Tuesday is irrelevant by Thursday. You're giving your future self veto power over your present self. Then there's the cash envelope method. Withdraw a fixed amount of cash each week for discretionary spending, coffee, lunch, small purchases. When it's gone, the week is over. Cards are abstract, handing over cash hurts. Your brain processes them differently, and that friction is the point. One more, the 30-day filter. Before buying any non-essential item, it must sit on a want list for 30 days. If after a month you still want it, and it replaces something you already own, buy it without guilt. Most things don't even survive 12 days. You're forcing honesty, what you truly value, versus what a marketing team convinced you wanted at 2 a.m. A $12,000 used Toyota can reliably carry you for 10 years. That $400 monthly car payment, redirected into an index fund earning 8% annually, becomes $73,000 over the same decade. You're not choosing between a nice car and a boring car. You're choosing between a depreciating machine and a future where your money works for you without demanding your time. One morning, your phone buzzes with an overdraft alert and you feel nothing. Not because you're rich, but because 3 months of buffer cash is quietly sitting in an account you don't touch. A flat tire, a shattered laptop screen, an unexpected medical deductible. Dominoes that once would have wrecked your entire month now get absorbed by a thin cushion you built deposit by deposit. You don't need a windfall, you need a buffer that exists before disaster hits. Your 20% is compounding quietly in the background. Your skills are steadily increasing the value of every hour you work. Your assets are appreciating whether you check the screen or not. Momentum builds without your constant supervision, and that's the point. You shouldn't be staring at it every day, you should be living alongside it. That intentional 10% reserved purely for enjoyment isn't a flaw in the system. It's why the system survives. When you consciously allow yourself to spend on a meal with people you love, a short trip that will still be talked about years later, a hobby that makes Tuesday nights tolerable, you cut off the fuel for impulse purchases that were never really about the thing. They were compensation, remove the guilt, and compulsive spending loses its power. This won't make you rich by Friday, it won't put you on any list. But over time it makes long-term poverty structurally impossible. Not because you worked harder than everyone else, but because you finally stopped letting money leak away. Before it ever did anything useful, Ownership beats appearances. Now I want you to do one thing. Pick the smallest action you can start tonight. One automatic transfer, one expense adjustment. Write it in the comments.